Hey everybody, it is Wednesday, the 27th of September, 2023, and the market trying to stabilize here on that anchored volume weighted average price from the March low. But so far you can see it hasn't been an exact place to purchase. That's why I always call it a level of interest. Now, closing right on it 2 days in a row, I think shows that it's likely it's going to continue to hold. So what we want to do on the shorter term time frame is take a look at start an anchor from this morning's low. That is going to be important, I think, the next coming days if we're to sustain some stability and build to a rally from this point. Now, it is, again, a level of interest, and that's why, because if you just purchased at 426 yesterday, you had to ride it all the way down 4 points or 1%. That's not something I'm willing to do. That's why I talk extensively in my book about it being a level of interest, not a place to do business. On the right side, most important, we still have a declining 5-day moving average. That 5-day moving average is likely to continue to decline tomorrow as we average this data out. And on Friday, we average this data out. Now, let's take a look at a couple scenarios. One, this market, maybe it's just going to fall apart and continue lower down to the year-to-date anchored VWAP and the 200-day moving average. I think that's less likely. I think what's more likely to happen is that we can see something along the lines of this. Let's put this on here first. That's the anchored VWAP from the Federal Reserve. I think tomorrow it'd be nice to see maybe a little bit of a pullback in here, and then it holds above the 2-day volume weighted average price, so getting back above it, and then it could push beyond the week to date volume weighted average price, make a run, maybe even all the way up to the anchor from the Fed. Now, what would that happen if this was tomorrow? Well, the 5-day moving average would still be declining, but it would look like this. Then on Friday, if we were to see some kind of a pullback in here a little bit from that level and then build like this, close the week out somewhere along that level, well, the 5-day moving average would start to look like this because we're getting rid of this data now, and that would turn it flat. So what we would see for next week is something along the lines of this. This would be our key level that if we were to get above this level, we would want to be a buyer with a stop under here, and then we would start to look for potential levels of upside. We could look at the anchored volume weighted average price from this prior high, so maybe it would rally up towards that initially and then kind of digest that, and then perhaps a run to the anchor from the beginning of the month. Well, if that were to put us in about this 438 area, so let's just say it kind of does something like this, 438, and then we were to start to roll back over, so that 5-day moving average kind of does this, and then maybe we're setting up for this. Right now, the only one that I really want to be focused on is that this is a possible stage 1 accumulation starting for a stage 2 uptrend in the near term, but we're going to have a declining 20-day moving average bearing down on us next week if it gets up to that level. And the 50-day moving average won't be that far overhead either. So next week, I think we're going to be setting up for a rally that looks like this. Maybe we'll get some upside tomorrow. I don't know. But I think that today marks an important low, and that's what we need to focus on. So this is proving to be an important anchored VWAP from a closing basis. But again, that doesn't always mean it's going to be an exact place to buy. The NASDAQ, a little bit similar, although we're stuck below the anchor from that April low right in there. Shorter term time frame, we're seeing kind of the same story develop, but we did break the pattern of the lower highs in here, but we don't have a higher low. So what we need to see in here for some strength to develop is a higher low. Then people will call it the inverted head and shoulders pattern, when what they're failing to realize is it's just a pattern of lower highs and lower lows turning into a pattern of higher highs and higher lows. That's all a head and shoulders pattern is. So where's the anchored VWAP from the Federal Reserve announcement? Right here. And look how that's been holding. Maybe that runs up towards that level and then pulls back, starts to see that 5-day moving average, and then next week we could see this NASDAQ continue to move higher. Russell 2000, we're still the ugliest market there is out there, but tomorrow we're going to see this is the 5-day anchor, and we're maybe a little bit ahead in terms of bounce candidate potential, but we've got a much worse decline with a declining 20, 50, and 200-day moving average. So I'm less inclined to buy that one. The semiconductors showing a little bit of relative strength here on their anchor from the March low. That's that green line. So maybe this one's getting ready for a rally up towards this anchor from this level, which is where we'd see the 20-day moving average. So it's all about anticipating the possible scenarios and how that might turn. So the 5-day moving average, we could see that flatten out tomorrow. And then maybe on Friday, we see the semiconductors lead this market. Maybe they lead the market tomorrow. I'd be paying more attention here to the semiconductors, certainly, than the Russell 2000. Biotech stocks got a little bit of a bounce here. And as we talk about, we often see an important low undercut from a strong sell-off, and then we get a bounce. We're just in bounce mode. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's still a horrible downtrend, not something I'm interested in looking at. Financial stocks are trying to hold their anchor from the March low as well. It's not very convincing so far, and this market has a much steeper decline to that 5-day moving average, so I think they're best off left alone. Energy names, of course, we saw energy up at a new high for the year today for 2023. So energy names starting to show some strength again. I would be looking at this group as if we start to see pullbacks, look for your spots to be a buyer, maybe something along the lines of this if after a pullback tomorrow. So that is it for now.